Hi. So I'm still kind of like figuring out this camera for my new phone, and one of the things that they said that I should do is that I should update. So update the phone. So like I just did it, the most updated, the most recent update, and now I'm gonna let's see if this actually works. But yeah, because I'm like just getting very discouraged. I don't know what to do because I change things change, but they don't get better. But like enough about that. It's Sunday. We're gonna have a visit from some relatives a little later today. I'm excited. We're gonna have a lot of food, a lot of like good food. So I'm looking forward to it. And also, I had sushi for lunch today. I bought it yesterday evening. They had like a really interesting, they had a coupon from like this new app. It is like a transportation app that we have. It's called 99, and now they are kind of like also delivering food. So they have like lots of things on sale. So basically, I've been kind of So like I got some, my brother got some, and I went to bed because it was late. And then I woke up today and it was there. So it was pretty nice. But enough about that. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm wearing a new dress. This one, it has pockets, so that's pretty exciting. I feel like if you're, keeping up with me, like that I kind of like I'm getting a lot of like clothing articles, but I want just to like make it clear that I am that like whenever I get something new, first of all, I'm getting stuff on sale. I'm not really buying anything at full price, so I only get something if like it's worth it. But also that I get every time I get something in, I put something out. So either donate it or I sell it. I sold something today, by the way. It's one of like my shorts that is also kind of like a skirt, and they're really cute, but they don't really fit me anymore. And there are some things that I'm just kind of like getting rid of, but oh sorry. But like some of the stuff like I'm just putting up for sale to see how it goes, because I'm not really I know I feel like either I haven't gotten like full value from like from like that item, so I want some type of compensation. But what I wanted to talk about today, it is Sunday, so I want to kind of like establish some ground rules for me this week, and I really want to kind of like actually try to follow them. I don't know how I'm gonna enforce it, but I'm kind of like resolute right now. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make things happen. So for example, something that I want for this week is like for me not to be on YouTube so much. It's fine for me when I'm recording, but like when I'm watching stuff, like that's pretty much where the danger is. It's kind of like, I get, because I don't have any other social media, and I don't even interact much, like with, the website, but I think I've been watching, too much. And also like if I do find something that I want to watch, I want to save it so I will watch it when I'm like exercising, because I've been struggling to find stuff that gets me going when I'm exercising. I also like I'm still at this point where I can do like an hour straight, but I was able to do like 40 minutes yesterday, like on the one go. Also like I want, because I have been kind of like slacking off with like my little machine over there, so I want to exercise every day, 2 hours per day. It doesn't have to be 2 hours straight. It can be in several installments, which can be perfect for when I'm writing, when I'm doing something and I get kind of like distracted, so I can kind of like exercise. I can do like 10-15 minutes. So I want to do 2 hours at the very minimum, on top of the other things that I already do, my Zumba class and my swimming class and all that. So like exercising. This one I think I can force, but also I'll be trying to do it more in the morning, because I think that, because in the evening I have class. So oh yeah, like that is something else that I have to kind of like account for. Like I want to separate some time of my day for me to do the assignments, do the things that I have to do for school. So like that is, so like number one, exercise 2 hours per day. As I said, like it's not going to be like right, just going to be 2 hours straight, but like I can have to add up to that. Number two, I want to kind of like dedicate some time for my school assignments, and also so basically like I'll be kind of like busy in the afternoons, pretty much what I said, that I don't necessarily want to exercise there. It's also like a good way for me to start my day. So like that's kind of like what I'm looking forward to, because like I have my Zumba class, I then I'll go straight up to college, and same thing with like me, the days that I have my swimming class. I'm gonna drive home, get ready and leave. So basically that is kind of like where I am at. So okay, so exercise, school stuff, and what exactly? What I didn't say anything else, but oh yeah, YouTube. I want to kind of like cut the time I using it, and I have my strategies. Like I can, something that I've been kind of doing, is that I leave like something playing on my phone, and like usually, yeah, I just I leave it playing so that I'm not tempted to something long to kind of like use it. That is thing number three. Number four, I want to kind of like try and not get so lost in my fantasies. Like both like this and YouTube, like they're kind of vague, but it is, I don't know. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to work them out, but it is kind of like part. Oh yeah, by the way, let me just show you. Like I have another room. This one is not from when I fell, but it was from the same day. Basically, like what happened is that like the bag was so heavy that it tore my skin. So yeah, it wasn't really scratchy. It was kind of like crazy. I never really seen my skin do that, or anybody's skin for that matter. But yeah, so I want to kind of like because like my head is going to go into different places, but I want to try and make them to be being closer to getting to, like, if I'm gonna fantasize, I'm gonna fantasize about stuff I might not, basically. Yesterday, or it was the day before. No, it was yesterday. I went to visit with my mom and one of my friends' moms went to the to a prison to kind of like, it was specifically like the pregnant women prison, and there was a whole thing, and I picked up a Bible and I was kind of like going through it, and I grew up Christian, so I've read the Bible many times before, but I ended up landing on like Judges and First and Second Samuel, and I really like the stories. Like growing up, like those are the stories that my parents were playing. For me, like I had the little DVDs before that had like VHSs that were biblical stories. So there is this nostalgic element to it, but also it's not even like the nostalgia. It's like the feeling, the way that it makes me feel. I remember when I was a kid and I would read those stories, and you feel so epic. You feel like I'll be very excited about it. It made me excited to read, and then later on, I ended up realizing like, oh, I really like fantasy. Like I really like these stories with this world, with this magic systems and all of that. So I was reading, like part of it. It was in Second Samuel. Also, I kind of like realized that that saying like, oh, how the mighty have fallen is from Samuel, for Second Samuel. So that was, I was like, okay, because I really like that saying, and I really like the saying itself, but also like the implication, because like it is like a reminder of our mortality, right? Like you can be one moment like top of the world, and then the next you are like at the bottom, you die. So yeah, I didn't really realize that it was from there, and that is something that it might even be one of the quotes I have for my book at the beginning. I have a bunch of quotes, but like I have a bunch of influences, so it makes sense. But what I wanted to say is that I was reading, and it got me excited with my own novel, because like I have created in this universe kind of like this book that tells the story, and it has like it's like somewhat similar to the Bible, like but like it is a little bit more like historically accepted, like by people, but there are also like their songs and their poems and all that, and like I was very excited when I first started working on this. So this is one particular part of the world, and I realized, no, I want to incorporate more of that. I want there to be like more from like those stories, and yeah, so I was writing just one, and I was really excited because like I like the way I'm writing this, because it makes me feel like that the world building is like a little bit more legitimate. I'm kind of like adding this facet to it, and like I think this is my first series that I'm writing, so there are some things that they might not really be top notch, but I am learning, I am improving, and I do think that like in a way, like book 3 is going to be better than book 2, the same way that book 2 was better than book 1. Not trying to disparage any of my creations, but I think that I'm becoming a better writer. I also have like a better grasp of things, in terms of like telling a story, because like each new book like is expanding the world, but in some ways you can look back and feel like, okay, so this is an element that we're seeing that was nothing of this in book 1, and it's probably because like I haven't really thought of that in book one. So I think that in this way, like I'm having more time for me to think about the other stories from like other, points, that belong to that world. And I don't know, like it's just really working out, I think, and I'm excited, because that is ultimately what I want to feel when I'm writing. I want to feel excitement for what I'm doing. I want to feel joy, and I want to feel the fulfillment. But that the fulfillment is kind of like it comes with, like the achievement. So like it's kind of like right happening. But yeah, so I don't want to fantasize, and if I do, I want to try to channel this into my novel. And I think that this new angle is going to be very helpful, in a way, because I don't know, I think it's giving me a new dimension and a way for me to connect certain things. And I don't know, I'm happy, I'm excited, like I want to write more in this world, because as I said, this is my first series, but I have so many more ideas. There's so much more that I want to write in the future, in the past, a lot more in the past, but there's just so many different things that I can enjoy, and I want to live a long life so that I get to write all the stories, even if like nobody ever sees any of them, like I still want to try. But yeah, so life has been good. Oh yeah, for my planning, so I'm gonna cut now my consumption. Also, like there are, for example, like some TV shows that I want to watch, and I'm kind of like trying to, I don't know, I hope that like I can watch them, because as I said, like I need something for me to be watching for me to withstand like the machine. Otherwise it's just very heavy. Like not even music has been cutting it for me. And also like now I'm with like regular Spotify, the one that is in premium, so like there's a lot of ads. Like there is like way more ads than there used to be back when I first started using premium, which was in 2021. And I'm no longer on premium because like the 4-year period that they give you for when you're a student, like it's over. So I haven't really been inclined to pay that, because it's like twice the value that it was before. So it's kind of like, okay, that's crazy. But I think back then, like, you should be like an ad every 30 minutes. Right now it is in theory every 15 minutes. I have timed it. That is not what fucking happens at all. I think if you skip, like now you have like unlimited, it's not unlimited skips, but you have like more skips. And I think if you do that, like you get an ad earlier, that's pretty much kind of like the situation. But yeah, but so music hasn't really been working. It's not really enough. So I would like to kind of like maybe watch the series that the TV shows that I've been meaning to watch for the longest time. And I don't know, I think that sometimes like I'm not really motivated, because I think that some weeks like I will use a lot of because we signed for Netflix and HBO Max, so like I will be seeing a lot of things, be watching a lot of things. But there are some weeks that I'll go without, like I think I'll be more into YouTube videos. So it kind of like it goes back and forth. And there is this element when I'm scrolling of like me just kind of like sometimes refreshing the page over and over again, because I'm kind of like looking for something, because like what's happening. I don't know. I feel like I need some type of engagement, and I'm struggling to find something, which is why it'd be perfect for me to work on my novel when I have these moments. But yeah, it's also like I think regarding my novel, like I am not at the same level that I was a couple weeks ago, where I was just writing and writing and writing. I was excited. I think I have a bit of a dip, but I feel like I'm kind of like getting back, up. So that's kind of like that's exciting. That is something for me to look forward to, hopefully. And I think that there's more that I can do to kind of like create an environment where I am more prone to write, and I will write like better. Because sometimes like I will say that sometimes I feel like that there is this perfectionist element to my approach to things, because I kind of like have an idea, but I'm like, oh, that's not good enough, like that is not hitting all the marks I wanted to hit. But it's better for you to just add that, and then later on you try to fix it, than for you to write nothing at all. So basically that is kind of like a little change in my mentality that I'm trying to implement, and I think it's going to work out. As I said, I don't want to be overtly optimistic. I don't want to create unnecessary expectations, but I don't know, I feel like that this is going to be myself for the rest of my life. I'm gonna have some highs, I'm gonna have some lows, but like this is going to be the bottom line. And I think that I am well enough that I can actually, push through some things. So it's the same thing with like college. Like, how many years have I been that since I've been excited, to do things. I've been feeling that I was capable of doing things. I've been excited, to do things. So I'm kind of, I really want to, kind of like ride on this wave, this feeling that I have, that, I want to, do this, because I feel like if I start well, I will be able to establish kind of like a routine, a pattern, and then it's going to be easier for me to continue. So I want to start with a bang, a banger. That's kind of like the thing. Also, something that I going to be looking for, for 15 is eating. I've been eating too much. Like this past week, I've been really fucking hungry, and I'm eating more. And I mean, I haven't put on any weight since then, but it's still like, it's kind of like on a thin line, because every other day I'm like getting closer to 77. And I'm still like around 74, and I want to lose this weight. I know I've said this before, but I bought, like this powder. It is called Monjaro. It is not actually, because I know that's a medication, like you inject this, that, but it's kind of like the mix that people call it like that, because it's supposed to kind of like help you, like, it's supposed to help you with your hunger. So I started using it today. So you take it like 20-30 minutes before you eat, particularly like lunch and dinner. So I'll be doing that, and on top of it, I'm already taking the medications from like my endocrinologist, which, by the way, I tried to schedule an appointment because I think it's already time, and hopefully like when I go, like we're gonna have something else, something a little bit more potent, because it's not really working, and I also have glucagon. It's this little powder that I take, like a little bit in the morning, and so I'm going to have these 3 things, and I will be exercising more, because, as I said, I've been slacking off with my exercise in my machine. So kind of like, establish this goal, so one kind of like also helps the other, because I'm very much determined. I pretty much established that like by the time I finish my novel and we have it printed and we have like the launch and everything, like I want to be at least 5 kilos lighter. I want to be below 70, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Of course, like so far I've been like, I want to be below 64, which would be the ideal way for me, but it kind of, I don't know, I feel like that was kind of like getting in the way, because it was like, that's so far away, how can I do that? And so I'm gonna focus on 5 kilos. I want to get below 70, and then when I get there, I'm gonna focus on getting below 64. And I think that this is doable. This is very it's much more doable, because maybe like I've kind of like also come to accept that maybe I will not have the body I've had when I was younger. I think that's a very normal thing that happens, is that you put on a little weight, and like I kind of accept it. It's not that I'm kind of like, I'm not accepting that like this is going to be the case, because I'm gonna make an effort to lose this weight, but I'm kind of accepting that like my body, because I'm 28, I'm getting close to 30, getting closer by the age to 30, and you don't really have like the body I had when I was like 16, or even like 21, or even like 26, like that is, I don't know, because also like even then, like I wasn't happy with my body, which is just kind of like, it is this endless cycle of like me never being happy with what I have, in this case regarding my body. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I kind of come to accept that like maybe I'm not gonna get back to 60, because it also gets harder for you to lose weight the older you get. So like right now I'm focusing on 64 is my goal. When I started putting on weight, my goal is 60, but like right now I'm like, no, at 64 I am within like my ideal weight, and I'm not, because right now I'm like overweight, and yeah, so like I really want that, yeah, also like focusing more on my health, because like I've done things that they make you healthier, but not because I wanted to get healthier, but because I wanted to lose weight. So I want to change my approach to this. I want to focus more on like finding like a good balance between what's doable and what should be, and yeah, so I'm kind of like, I'm kind of optimistic, to be completely honest, that like I'll be able to pull this out, pull this off. Let's wait and see. But I feel like with just, but I'm just happy, like right now, because as I said, like this has been a week that I, because the thing about like me being hungrier is that it worries me and my family that I might be getting a manic episode or a depressive episode, because usually like those two get me eating more. and I've been kind of like having a little bit too much energy lately, so like that doesn't help. Because the whole thing of like me kind of like scrolling and trying to find something, for example, when I'm on YouTube, it has a lot to do with like it can do with anxiety, but also with like this extra energy that I have, where nothing satiates me, nothing suffices. So I kind of like I can change that. But also I'm going with my doctor, my psychiatrist this week, so we're gonna see if there's anything there that we can do, anything that we should be worried about. Also, the thing about my weight, like some of the medication I take makes me hungry, some of it makes me put on weight. So I've also, so that was something when I was younger that I didn't really have the best relationship with, because I would rather be unstable but thin, but that rather than being a little overweight and it being stable. But like right now I'm finally at a point where I'm like, like stability, like that's what I need, that's what I want. Because I want to live a long life, and you can't live if you're just going from like episode to episode. Like that is not a good way of living. Like it is not sustainable, and like there's all these different openings for the worst case scenario to happen. So like I want to be stable, and I've accepted that if I'm going to be a little overweight because of that, that's okay, because my mental health is more important. My mental and physical health is more important, because like as I said, like I'm a little overweight, but like all my exams, they're fine. Like I don't have any issues with anything. So I'm healthy. I'm healthy and I'm happy. And as I said, like this happiness, this whole thing of like me maybe not being thin anymore, as I used to be when I was younger, is something that was really weighing on me. So I'm finally at a point where I'm like, what, I have priorities, which is my priority. And I have the right priorities right now. That's the case. Oh yeah, also like changing the topic completely. I met a friend yesterday. That I'm going to this cell group from. It's at the church. That a friend invited me to go, and I just went, even though I'm an atheist. But I think that is a good time for me, because it's in English, so I can train my English. I can meet people, and we can talk about things, and it's been very positive. And then yesterday, when somebody went that I hadn't really met before, because so far I had only met Rosie, which is my friend, who was my friend, and Noemia, who is one of Josie's students, and also she's also kind of like, I think, a member of the church, I'm not sure. But yesterday when two people who I didn't know, with one which is actually is actually the leader, and then the other one. And as she was talking, I was kind of like picking up on some things, and like, what, I'm relating to you. And then after that, we went out. There is this call it the Central Market, which is this market that we have downtown, and it's very close to the church. And we were talking, and then we so like she believes in a higher power, but she doesn't go to a church specifically. And she's queer, she has some religious trauma, so like we were bonding, and there was even a point where I feel like she was maybe kind of like hinting at us having threesome, because she has a boyfriend, and like they're courting somebody right now, because I think her boyfriend's trying to like figure out his sexuality, and she had already figured her out. But yeah, so I felt like there was a vibe there. So maybe there was, I don't know, we're gonna wait and see. But it was good. It was good, because I think I sometimes I come here and I talk about how I struggle to connect with people, and this is not me. I think this is a very not only like a generational thing. I think this is just a human thing of like finding connection, finding meaning in your situations. And usually, like sometimes I have people come up in my life, and I'm like, I don't care about you. I don't really I don't want to expend this. Sometimes like them from like a specific context, and you're fine with like existing with this person there, but anything else I'm like, let's hold on, like this is not gonna happen. But yeah, so it was kind of exciting for me to find somebody who I'm like, oh my god, I would like to be friends with this person. And I'm saying that we're friends, like that is I think it's a cultural thing, because I think saying that we're friends like is something that here in Brazil is like much faster than in some other places. They're a little more like distance, but I feel like we're connected. I don't know about her, but it was one of those situations that was like, okay, like this is a person who I could see myself being friends with. I would like to hang out. I would like to go out sometimes and maybe have a drink or something. I can have a drink, but she can have a drink. And I don't know. So that was something remarkable for me. maybe this is not going to go anywhere, because also she works a lot. She usually doesn't go, she does meetings because she's working, but then she changed. She's in a different job right now, so she could stop by. And basically, I don't know where this is going, but it was interesting for me to have this experience to learn, because I was starting to feel like nobody would ever be enough, or like that we wouldn't match. And then I was like, no, what, like there are people there that I can match, that I can kind of like get closer to. So it was good. Well, I stand corrected, and I'm really happy that I stand corrected, because like I'm all better off because of it. Also, changing the topic once again, I've been thinking, yeah, like I've been kind of like reflecting. uh, I'm making this seem like something deep. It's not. It's just like tattoos. And I even commented with my mom that I don't know, because as of right now, my agreement with my parents, that like I usually get like 2 tattoos per year. Usually I was getting them both in January, but like I dropped my dad, so like I'm gonna get one in August and then the other one in January. And you have these 2 tattoos, and I kind of want more. For that, I would need more money. So like that is the first hurdle that I had to overcome. But I was telling my mom, like, how do I tell my dad? Because my mom is very much like, it is your body, it is your money, like that is a choice that. Oh, it's not here. That is the choice that you make. And then my dad, he's also kind of like that, but he kind of like wants to have a little bit more involved in tattoos. Like I show him the design first. Also, like there are some tattoos that I wanted to get that I haven't gotten them, because I feel like my dad would not, he wouldn't approve, he wouldn't, be happy about it. But it's also kind of like a process, because when I first started getting tattoos, which was in 2016, by the way, so it's going to be a decade, it was during the end of the year, I think it was like December 2016, so it's going to be a decade, the end of the year since I started getting tattoos. And I started with like very small tattoos, and also they were mostly white. I have since kind of like gotten them all covered with like black or red, but they were all very much, I don't know, like they were small, so like that was something that was easier, for them, more specifically him, to digest. And I kind of like started, and I started getting more, like I remember, I got, for example, this and this. It was like September 2017. So I kind of like was spending the first of these were like the bigger ones I had. Like right now I have like, I have a back this, and I have like my thighs are covered, and so machines and all that. But those are like big ones, at first. So the point I'm trying to make is that basically I've been kind of like easing him into a sense of, I don't know, like he's pretty much, I think he also understood that like this is something that I want, and that's not really passing. I've heard of people who apparently they regret their tattoos. Like there's not a single tattoo that I regret. The only thing I regret is not having more. So there's that. But so I was basically kind of like, how do I kind of like ease my dad into me getting like more than 2 tattoos per year, because I kind of like realized that this is something that because I will say that there was a lot of, it was really good for me for like a while to kind of like space out my tattoos, how many I was getting, because it was good, because then I was kind of having ideas. But at this point, they're kind of like, there's like a long ass line of tattoos I want to get, and I'm thinking that like if I get 2 tattoos per year, like it's going to take, because I'm also thinking about my skin, like a decade from now I'll be 38 and I'll probably still be getting tattoos, but like my skin's not going to be the same. So there is like a biological clock thing going on in this sense. But I was talking to my mom, and my mom was basically, she gave me really good advice. She said like, first make up the money, and then you talk to him, which was like, what, and she gave me like an example, from her own life, from work. And I was like, what, like this is actually very sound advice. So I'm gonna focus on making more money, and then I'm gonna convince him. Last way, wait. I don't think that I'm gonna convince him this year specifically. So like let's wait and see. But I am starting to save up some money. Like I'm saving money for different things. Like I think I mentioned before. Like I would at some point I might want to have my own place. you know. But I will say that like right now, things are just really good living here, you know, like, so it's great. And it's interesting because when I was younger, you know, like I used to be, this is going to be TMI, but like, let's say I used to be a little more sexually active, and I didn't really have a place to go. Like, I would either go to a motel or to the other person's house, but like that is always like risky because like sometimes there were people who I didn't really know, so you know, just going to a second location with these people, not great. So that was, you know, something. But as I said, like lately I've been just doing, just kind of like taking care of it myself, and it's honestly even better because, you know, I know myself, I know what I like, and I'm excited to try new things, and I can do that just by my own, by myself, you know. So you know, things are, sorry, TMI moment over. So yeah, so like I have no complaints right now. We have a really great relationship, you know. And I ended up reflecting on this because yesterday during, you know, our self group you know, meeting, I was, you know, this other girl who, you know, I hope will become a friend, she was talking about how, you know, her relationship with her parents has kind of, you know, like it sometimes it's hard, you know, because the parents, they're human, you know, so they make mistakes, they say things, they do things that affect you, that they didn't really intend to hurt you, but like that's just what happened. So I was kind of like reflecting on the fact that like right now I have like a great relationship with my parents. I've always had a good relationship with them. Like, you know, like the only thing that happened in the past that I was a little bit more distant, you know, I didn't really tell them what was going on with me. And but yeah, so I realizing that like, okay, we've been able to work through all those things. And you know what's the key is communication. Of course, I know some people are harder to deal with. Like my parents, they were super chill, you know, and you know, like they were super open to listen to what I had to say, you know, when I was telling them the things that they did that hurt me or that, you know, were not particularly positive, you know, that didn't really improve my life or anything. So you know, like I know I'm very lucky to have very loving parents, even if they're not perfect, even if there are some political and religious divergences, we can still live, but we can still exist, you know, like together. And not only that, I really enjoy having them in my life. They are probably the people I'm the closest to, like in no, everybody. I mean, not that hard because there's not like that many people, but you know, like I feel free around them. I feel like I can be myself, you know. Naturally there are some things that, you know, they don't have to know, and that's fine, you know, like they also, you know, like same way that they have things about them that I don't need to know. So fine. But like and I honestly, like my dad just said something earlier today, because you know, something that, you know, we drank like reminded him of his dad. His dad died in 2006. It's going to be 20 years in May. Also, my cousin, who was also born in the same month, is going to be 20 in May. She's entering a new decade. Good for her. She's coming here. She's one of the people who's coming for a visit. But yeah, but he basically said this, which made me really sad, is that he thought that he did not really enjoy his dad's presence as much as, you know, he could have. Which is always like a fear, something that happened when people die, right? And but that he said that I was sad for him, but at the same time I was like, I don't have the same regret. You know, I spend my time with my parents, you know, we do things together, and I really enjoy that. You know, I feel that that's one of those things that I might be kind of get judged for. But like, for example, when I have a consultation or something, you know, like basically I bring both my parents. And you know, I'm 28, so a lot of people find it weird and off-putting. I think that the whole like living with them, that thing like doesn't really, at least here in Brazil, like it isn't, because I think that's very common, you know, for people to kind of like only live their lives. They have like this traditional, not traditional, but like this mold of like what life is going to be. Like they get married and then they move out with, you know, their partners, and you know, as you're going to college, you know, or because I'm already kind of like out of like the stereotypical college age, and actually all type of people kind of like go to college. And honestly, I feel like even in, I don't really know my class yet because I didn't really go to, I didn't go Friday because it was pouring. Like we were in the plane for like seconds, and then I was completely soaked, and then we had to go from one point to another because there were no buses, you know, the bus stops, they didn't really have any cover over them, so you know, we were just exposed. So in the end, like my mom and I, we ended up making to, you know, the campus, but we ended up going back home because, you know, we were completely wet, you know, like somebody had just, you know, as if we just gone into the shower. And you know, if I'm gonna stay there, like it'll probably be bad for health because we're all wet and stuff. So I didn't really go in the class. The first class we had was Friday, but I am going, tomorrow, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be a college student. I know that I've technically been a college student for like 7 years, but I feel like this is going to be the one, and I'm stable, so like I'll be a better, place mentally for me to do that. So really excited. But back to what I was, saying. So I feel like the thing of like me living with my parents, like nobody really cares here. Like it's kind of like the norm. I don't really plan on getting married, so like I might be here forever. But I did say like at some point I want to have something. So I am saving money for that. I've been saving money for a little while, but I'm also still saving money for me to get my tattoos, because like I think that you have to enjoy yourself, in the present, but also like in the future. But yeah, so like we do everything together. For example, this morning we went grocery shopping, and it was me and my parents, and I don't know, I enjoyed spending time with them. I think that they're really fun to be around. Like my mom, she goes with me. My mom retired at a very young age. She was 49, but she kept working for like a bunch of years more. It was in 2021 that she kind of like stopped working, and then started, because I was not doing great back then. I was very how do I put this? I was very unstable. I was having episodes, they were happening back and forth, and I was just, like it was very exhausting, and I was constantly, having, thoughts of, harming myself. So my mom, she was kind of like, you know what? Also, like she kind of like had to come to the conclusion that she worked enough, so yeah, it's going to be 5 years in October that she stopped working, and like now she's just living her life, and she's studying, she's like doing things that she wants. I mean, she is very involved like in her with her church work, so she's doing lots of things. And right now that I'm stable, she can do even more, because I don't need supervision as I needed for like that for different points in my life, particularly like before she was working and all that. But also like something that I'm kind of excited about is the prospect of getting a job in the area I'm studying. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know what exactly where I can apply for this type of job, but I'm excited about work, and this is the first time in many years that I feel this way. Like I don't know what to say. It's different, and I'm excited, and I think that I can feel like I can do it. I feel like I'm at a point where like everything is flowing very well. So there's that. But back to me and my parents. So for example, my mom usually goes with me, like wherever I go, we go together when we have to do things. So like she accompanies me, I accompany her, and I really like her relationship. As I said, she's one of the people she's probably the person I'm the closest to, and that is, that's not saying much, as I said, but I don't know, man. Like I'm just happy that we have a good relationship. I see so many shitty parents, so many title parents, and it's just like, damn, I'm so grateful that I did not, but that I wasn't born in a family like that. Even if my family isn't perfect, they are, as I said, like we've reached this point where we understand each other, so we can avoid the things that kind of like get in the way. So and that is very important. That does make a huge difference. But also so like the 5 things, let me add a 6th thing. I want to be more grateful, not necessarily be more grateful, but I want to voice my gratefulness more. I think this is something that I've been doing, and I think it's been really having a very positive effect on my mind. Like sometimes if I'm kind of like stuck, or if I'm just doing scrolling or whatever, like I start looking around, seeing the things that I'm thankful for, and also like realizing that like there are multiple things that you can be thankful for in like one item. So for example, this dress, I can be grateful that I have it. I can be grateful that it was cheap. I can be grateful that I like the length. I can be grateful for like the sleeves. I can be grateful for like for the color. This is really basic. I can be grateful for the pockets. Like this is very versatile. I can use for a lot of things. So that's kind of like the idea. Like being grateful. So for example, this bottle, I can be grateful that I had a bottle, because this was tonic water before. So I'm grateful that I got the tonic water, and I'm grateful that I have water. I'm grateful that like I have that I'm able to reuse this water instead of like having to buy more stuff. Like that's good for the environment, and the environment is very important, and it's something I'm trying to connect more with because I grew up in a very Christian environment, but like thankfully it was a type of Christian environment where they made us very conscious about like our impact on nature and made sure that like we were kind of like stewards towards nature. So I've always had this as being kind of like a core value, and I'm trying to get back to that. I recycle, like I'm conscious of my use of water, of the use of my resources. I try to buy things there or like recycle that there. So I do my part, but I feel like I've been kind of like on autopilot for too long, and I want at the end of the day, like I want to, I feel like that there's more than I can do, and like I want to do that. I want to do more, like I don't know what exactly that's going to be, but like as I said, like this has always been a core value for me, and I think that I've been slacking off in some ways. I think that that could be the thing for today. Like I've been slacking off, or being on autopilot. Because the thing, for example, I said, like with me scrolling too much on YouTube, like like because if you scroll and you find something like good, but like a lot of times there's nothing I'm interested in, which should be a sign that like go out and do something else. But oh well. But yeah. So I think that I want to get my shit together. This is the more of the story. So there are some things that I've been kind of like on autopilot on. For example, like the days that I'm not exercising, it's not because I don't think about it, just because I'm kind of like, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, and like no, we're gonna do it today. I have, because the thing I'm saying of like me not being able to do like an hour straight yet, like I need more practice for me to get there. So as I said, I did 40 minutes yesterday, like straight up. I ended up doing more overall, but it was 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So I'm almost there, 20 minutes more. So I need to be pushing myself. And so yeah, I think I want to push myself academically, professionally, health related things. Like I want to try and eat less, because as I said, like I'm struggling with this excessive hunger. But I think that there, maybe I won't really be able to eat the same amount I was eating before, but because any reduction is positive, and it is positive, and it's like an improvement. I think that the thing I was talking about me being perfectionist too is that sometimes I want to get from like 0 to 100 very quickly, and I don't want to pass by 40, 50, 60, but like that is necessary. So like even if I cannot reduce my consumption of food to the same level it was before, I can still reduce it a little bit. Same thing with like the machine. Okay, so maybe I won't be able to do, like I already did like half an hour today, so I need to do another half an hour. So I'm like 30 minutes, that's a lot. But yeah, so I don't have to do 30 more minutes. The idea is for me to get that to that point, but like I can do but yeah, like I can do 10 more minutes, and then after that I can do 10 more minutes. I think I should break things into smaller pieces, just like Jack the Ripper said. You have to break things down. And this is also something that my mom has always said, to do it like Jack. And she's very bright. So the same thing with like my scrolling, for example. Like I can, maybe I will still scroll a little bit, like I'll find myself, oh, I've already scrolled, and I feel like sometimes the feeling that you have is like, okay, I just already lost this, so I'm just gonna, it's the doubling down thing. Cost of fallacy, like pretty much like that. So like no, I'm going to make mistakes, I'm gonna get halfway there, but like it's better for me to get halfway there than like not get to 100, right? Like it's better, something's better than nothing. So that's been kind of like the mentality here, for me. So I no longer want to be on autopilot. I don't want to slack off, and I want to be more conscious of what I'm doing, more intentional too, and halfway is better than nothing. So like focusing on that, and it's going to be an exciting new week for me, and I am looking forward to what we have to do. It's kind of crazy because before this year, like I had never heard of this course, archaeology, but it is something that's kind of like something that you need like archives. And I'm not only learning about like physical archives, but also digital ones. So like that is something that is very relevant, and I really hope that, as I said, I'll find a job that I'm kind of, maybe I'm not going to be super passionate about it, but like I'm excited. I know that maybe it's not going to be excited every morning. Not going to be exciting every morning, but like I want to kind of like, sometimes like feeling useful and productive is kind of enough. You know, like that is kind of like good enough sometimes for you to just, if there is a level of satisfaction that you can get from completing a project. So, you know, like maybe I don't need to be kind of like passionate about what I'm doing, but if I need to find, you know, like these points, you know, that I can attach myself to. And I feel like I don't know, like I feel like this might be the way for me. I'm excited about the future, basically, that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up right now. Oh my god, almost 35 minutes. That was a lot. Bye.